In the past 2 decades, the NFL has shifted to more pass-happy offenses. Long gone are the days when every team needed an elite running back to carry the load. You can succeed without a great rusher, but you need a good quarterback to win in today's NFL. However, some NFL teams have valued the running back position more than others. Throughout their history, they've always had that go-to star in the backfield. I'm Justin Fraction, and today we dive into 10 NFL teams that always have awesome running backs. And a huge shout out and thank you to Super Juice for suggesting this list. Kansas City Chiefs. In the modern era, most of you will think of Jamal Charles. Charles is a consistent 1,000-yard rusher, and it's safe to say that only Adrian Peterson was a better running back in the 2010s. But before Charles, the Chiefs had a shifty and flashy back in Priest Holmes. He only played with the Chiefs from 2001 to 7. Still, Holmes had a whopping 76 rushing touchdowns, the most in franchise history. The Chiefs also had a slick rusher in Larry Johnson who formed a strong backfield with Holmes. And before those two gems, don't forget Marcus Allen in the 90s. As for the current Chiefs, they look as though they may have found yet another gem in Kareem Hunt. UKC fans have been fortunate to see so many great running backs. Baltimore Ravens. They're a very young franchise, barely over 2 decades old. Still, the Ravens have been a great place for running backs to build their careers. Everyone remembers Jamal Lewis, 2003 Offensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl 35 champion, reached 2,006 rushing yards in 2003. Huge star. After Lewis, the Ravens went to the shifty, quick-cut stud Willis McGahee. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. Baltimore then won Super Bowl 47 thanks to a strong backfield led by Ray Rice. This team has always made a strong rusher a priority, and it has worked out fine, thank you very much. Cleveland Browns. Yep, it's hard to believe the franchise you laughed at most has actually been home to many great running backs. The Browns own the top running back ever in Jim Brown, which obviously helps them land on this list. Nobody did it like Brown, and nobody ever will. Let's not ignore Leroy Kelly, a star in the 60s and 70s, who was a 6-time Pro Bowler and led Cleveland to the 1964 NFL Championship. Mike and Greg Pruitt also shouldered Cleveland's offense together in the 70s and early 80s. No, they weren't related. More recently, Cleveland had Isaiah Crowell, who was capable of rushing for 1,000 yards when given the opportunity. Laugh at the Browns if you must, at least their RBs can help you win your fantasy championship. San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco may have had Joe Montana and Jerry Rice in their 80s dynasty, but don't be ignorant of running back Roger Craig. He was a 1988 NFL Offensive Player of the Year and a 3-time Super Bowl champion for a reason. Way back in the years from 1948 to 63, Joe Perry powered the 49ers. He led the NFL in rushing twice, and Garrison Hurst was a beast for the Niners too, earning 2 Pro Bowl appearances during his 5 seasons with the club. Oh, and how could we forget Frank Gore? He's going to finish among the top running backs of all time in career rushing yards. 1,000 yards in 9 different seasons? Sign me up. The 49ers have won an awful lot as a franchise. A solid run game has been a big part of that. Pittsburgh Steelers. While Terry Bradshaw and the Steel Curtain defense took most of the credit, Franco Harris was a cornerstone for the Steelers' 70s dynasty. Decades later, he still remains the Steelers' franchise rushing leader. The 4-time Super Bowl champion really did it all. The Steelers also employed Jerome the Bus Bettis for 10 years. He and Harris each had over 10,000 rushing yards in a Steelers uniform. Bettis also led the Steelers to a Super Bowl 40 championship. Bettis had himself a good sidekick in Willie Parker, who won 2 championships with the Steelers. Now Pittsburgh has Le'Veon Bell. He's the best all-around back in the NFL today. There's no denying that. Pittsburgh has the most Super Bowls with 6. They can thank all the great running backs in their history for that. Indianapolis Colts. The iconic trio of quarterback Peyton Manning and star wide receivers Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne took most of the attention. But Edgerrin James was as great a running back as it gets. He only played with the franchise from 1999 to 2005. Still, he holds all the franchise rushing records by large margins. That's how special James was. The Colts franchise also had star running back Lydell Mitchell, a 3-time Pro Bowler in the 1970s. Let us not forget the Colts also had NFL legends Marshall Faulk and Eric Dickerson for a few years each too. Getting Frank Gore in 2015 was a huge pickup. The future Hall of Famer helped continue the tradition of great running backs for the Colts franchise. Buffalo Bills. O.J. Simpson was the NFL's ultimate power back of the 70s. He was one of the few bright spots on a pretty bad Bills team. Still, what he did for the franchise made him a true American icon before the infamous murder trial. Long after Simpson retired, Thurman Thomas came in as one of the top all-around backs to ever live. He and the Bills reached 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s. They lost all of them, but still, that's pretty darn impressive. Fred Jackson then came along in 2007. He wasn't elite, but he got the job done and sits 3rd all-time in franchise rushing. Buffalo has since gone with LaShawn McCoy. He's as flashy and elusive as it gets. So fun to watch. At this rate, he's a future Hall of Famer, case closed. Los Angeles Rams. Thing is, Steven Jackson isn't the greatest Rams running back ever, yet he holds the franchise records for most rushing yards. That just sums up how spoiled the franchise has been with running backs. You see, LA was home to Eric Dickerson, truly one of the best. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler and led the league in rushing 4 times. His 2,105 rushing yards in 1984 remain a single-season record to this day. Then after Dickerson, the Rams rolled with Marshall Faulk. He and Kurt Warner formed the infamous Greatest Show on Turf offense, winning Super Bowl 34 and making the NFL really fun. Now the Rams have a young star in Todd Gurley, so continues the tradition of this team having great running backs. Big surprise. Chicago Bears. If Jim Brown's the greatest running back ever, that makes Walter Payton number 2. He was a 9-time Pro Bowler, led the Bears to a Super Bowl, and won 2 NFC Offensive Player of the Year awards, a true NFL icon. The Bears then had Matt Forte for 8 seasons. This dual-threat running back had 5 1,000-yard seasons on an otherwise fairly mediocre Bears team. And from 86 to 93, the Bears had Neil Anderson. 4 Pro Bowls? Not bad. Jordan Howard now looks like the real deal. The Bears haven't been great for a while, at least the backfield is always strong though. Dallas Cowboys. It's kind of unfair, Dallas, what can we say? You had Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time rushing leader for 13 seasons. He led you to 3 Super Bowls and led the league in both rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in 4 different seasons. Oh, but if Smith wasn't enough, how about Tony Dorsett? He's 9th all-time in rushing and led the Cowboys to a Super Bowl 12 championship. Oh, and in the 60s, how about Don Perkins? You know, the 6-time Pro Bowler? In the modern era, Dallas had DeMarco Murray, and now they employ Ezekiel Elliott. It's ridiculous. Having all these great running backs is so unfair. What other NFL teams have always had great running backs? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you have any ideas for cool videos, let us know down there too. You never know, we might do them and give you a shout out. If you like the video, then like the video. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a great time to do that for more cool videos every single day. We'll see you next time.